In this video, I'm asking the question, should I sell my Catfish boat? Now, I will say I am not a salesman. I will tell you everything about this boat. I will give you a boat tour first. I will tell you the reasoning why I am thinking about selling it. And then I'll talk about the future. Now, before I get into any of that, I'm going to talk about price. Now, I've had this boat as is to two different dealerships. One dealership offered a $26,000 trade-in value, and the other dealership offered a $27,000 trade-in value. Now, when you're looking at like cars, if you have a low mileage car, the private property price, the private price or whatever, the personal price of the car is usually about 25% higher than the trade-in value. This is a specialty item. This is a boat. And, you know, the hours on the motor are low. Not even close to 100. They're probably under 50. I need to check it, obviously, but I'm 100% sure that it's probably even below 50 at this point in time. I haven't ran it that much. On this boat, I run the trolling motor more than anything else. That would put the price that I want to get out of this boat to about $33,000. That's 25% above those two different trade-in values. You know, like I said, I'm not a salesman, but as a salesman, you want to have a haggle. You want haggle room. Haggle room. I'll say that like 3 or 4 times. That means I probably would need to list this around $34,000 and just haggle someone down to 33 or 32. Now, there is another thing that will make it easier to haggle me down as well, because I want to keep the trolling motor. And it's actually has a problem right now. The belt needs to be replaced. The belt is getting way too loose, which means it's going to break on me eventually. And I definitely need to take it like today to Swafford's to get them to replace the belt. But I want to keep it because, one, it's got the good remote. I don't like the touchscreen remotes that MinnKota have been coming out with, because it makes you do things that you don't want it to do. They are very annoying. And two, the new Ulterras are double the price of this. They're like $6,000 now, which is crazy. This is a $3,000 trolling motor, and I want to move it to my new boat, or my next boat. It's not going to be new, obviously. It's going to be the next boat. I have to keep the batteries too. I've got 3 100 amp hour lithium batteries, but as you guys have seen in previous videos, they're watt cycle batteries that were given to me, and I still need to do videos on them. Doing a video of moving them to the new boat will, you know, make the manufacturer happy. Now, if I did keep the trolling motor, I would leave the plate on here. So you could put your own Ulterra or Terrova or whatever is compatible with that plate onto this boat. And it's easy access. That big black piece right here that you probably can't even see, that comes off and you have full access to underneath of where the trolling motor is. So easy access to put whatever trolling motor you want on it. And it also has this trolling motor bracket if you wanted to put something here instead of over there. Now, that will mess with the aqua traction, because the aqua traction was designed around this trolling motor. And that's what's all over the boat. I mean, this aqua traction is about $3,000. I did get a discount for it because, you know, at least that's what the dealership told me. Maybe I didn't, I don't know. But I actually do like this aqua traction. It's not a selling point. I like it because it silences the deck. It's not as thick as seafoam. It's a little bit more hardier material. There is a couple of places where I've nicked it and cut it, and the Catfish is still whole, and that's where everything is thrown, in the middle of this boat, and the giant Catfish has survived. So that's a good feature of this boat, is this aqua traction, and it's not cheap. I've added these spud pole brackets, which will go with the boat, and these smackdown rod holder cleats. And there's a cleat here, cleat there. They can be moved anywhere. There's 2 cleats on the back, and there's another spud pole holder on the back side. And I will include my spud poles. I've got like I think one's 8 foot and one's 6 foot. Don't quote me on that, but they're 2 different lengths. But I use them from time to time to help stabilize the boat. So it's got, you know, spud poles. I will say I do keep spraying anti-corrosion into the lights, the navigation lights, and sometimes I have to wiggle them to get them to work. But I haven't had a time where I couldn't get them to work at all. It's just, you just gotta wiggle it a little bit. It's kind of typical with navigation lights. The front 2 switches work, there's a trim, and then navigation lights, and then a 12 volt. I don't know if the 12 volt plug works. I'm going to assume that it does. I've never used it. I've never tested it, but I'm going to assume that that 12 volt plug works. Now, I did have storage added to it, and behind the storage is the gas tank panel access. And I will say that I had a problem with the gas tank. When I took that off, it had jumped up onto one of the corner brackets and it was rubbing into the gas tank. Thankfully, it's fixed now. I took the brackets out and put my own brackets in, more brackets, to hold the gas tank in place so it doesn't jump up onto metal. I did leave those 2 tie downs for the 30-gallon bait tank I had in here. I removed this. I put a 30-gallon bait tank in there, and it fit. The boat ran fine, but the deck here is so high, it's a really far drop down to the sub deck. And I looked at, you know, like I've got the watch your step on the back deck. I don't like clients falling down the decks. So I got rid of the 30-gallon. I put this back in, and I got a 20-gallon that fits in there perfectly where my cooler is. And yes, I'm keeping the cooler. I'm keeping all of my fishing gear, obviously. Now, it does have its own live well in the front. I think that's like 12 gallons or something. I have a double aeration system in it. I added an aerator in there so that, you know, you could keep shiners in there and live happily ever, and they'll live happily ever after. I also added these tackle webs where you can put stuff in, and 2 of the Rapala magnetic tool holders on the console. And as you can see, I added a bunch of stickers too. Now you can see I've got a middle pole there. That is a, you know, navigation light that I put in there. And it's not plugged up. It actually corroded really bad and stopped working. So I cut the wires, took the wires out, and it's not with power at the moment. You could put power in it if you wanted to record YouTube videos, but it's just, you know, something that you probably don't really need. I added my own wiring. So I put wire up to the console from the starter battery, which is a deep cycle battery, which has all the accessories on it, to a fuse block. And all of my stuff is hooked up to the fuse block. So I've got an aerator hooked to my fuse block for the front live well. For the rear live well, there's another aerator that's hooked up to my fuse block with switches on the console to turn them on and off. And the USB and 12 volt plug is also hooked up through an off-on switch to my fuse block. Because the original one that came in this boat corroded apart. It fell apart. I put a new one in there and I put a switch on it so it wouldn't be powered all the time to cause corrosion. Now this does come with a seat. I stuffed it there just to have a better look of the boat whenever I first started the video. But there is storage here too, underneath the seats. So this boat has an absolute ton of storage. And there's a rod box. It has 4 rod tubes, and the end of one of the rod tubes keeps coming out. Another problem this rod box had was it was gathering water. I drilled holes here so the water will exit the rod box. Of course, you can see I got smackdown rod holders all around the boat. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the sides, 6 on the back multi-bars. And I have a giant bait tank, live well, whatever. Oh, one of my things come off. I got to put it back on the air hose. But I think this is 66 gallons, and there's a problem with this tank. When I'm trailering down the road, water gets sloshed out of it. I tried to bring Shad home one time and ended up with an inch of water by the time I got home. That's actually kind of bad for tournaments as well. If you do a tournament, you have to stay on the lake. And if you have a 30-pounder, this 66-gallon live well isn't really enough for even a 30-pounder because the back of the fish will be out of the water. But it is good for eater fish. My eater trips, I've been loading this up with catfish, letting them, stay alive, and it probably helps clean them up a little bit before, I pull the boat out of the water, and then I'll pull the catfish out of here and put them in a cooler. So it's great for that. Another thing you could do while out on the water, you could put skipjacks in this and drive them 5 miles to where stripers are. Now I have a 150 horsepower Suzuki outboard. It's on a jack plate, a Z-Lock jack plate. Some people have been saying in some of my videos it needs to go up like an inch or something. I'm probably not going to touch it. If you want a couple more miles per hour, maybe you need to raise it up a little bit. And it's got a stainless prop. And there's my Garmin transducer to an old Garmin 93 SV or something. It's like a 9-inch touchscreen. It works, it shows fish. You could get a better one. Now I do have 2 problems right here. My gauges, like my speedometer, my RPM meter, and my fuel gauge, and the bilge pump switch, and the horn are not working. The aerator, the nav lights, the turn on oil, whatever stuff, I think the oil stuff or whatever seems to be working. That's the only thing that's working. I am going to try to get this fixed if anyone's interested in buying the boat, or if I decide to sell it, I will take it somewhere and try to get them to fix it. This all stopped working right as the accessory warranty went out. I did have problems with the fuel gauge before the accessory warranty. It would stop working. I would take it to the dealership and, turn the switch and show them, oh, look, it's not working. But then it would end up working. So by the time, every single time I got to the dealership, the fuel gauge just started working. And I don't know. But now most of it doesn't work. And I will get it fixed for anyone that buys the boat. The second problem is this panel, which I've got my flotation, throwable flotation on it. It keeps coming out. It keeps falling out. The screws just keep coming out of it. And they put just like machine screws in it. They didn't rivet it because you don't want to rivet that part because you want access underneath here. Now, another problem, this console does shake. Whenever there's really, really bad chop that is rattling your brain, it's also rattling the console pretty bad. But if you're in smooth water or like river chop, what I would call river chop, like lake chop, it will rattle your brains out. But on river chop, it's usually okay. It just depends on which way the wind's blowing, how fast the current is. I did add, this is a ram mount, and that's where I originally had my fish finder, and because of that shaking, I couldn't even read the fish finder. It was shaking so bad. So I moved it to next to my, throttle. And now I can read it while going anywhere, pretty much. Now the next big problem is the trailer. Oh, well, that's pretty solid. Okay, so this broke. Like the bracket holding on this broke, and then this wood came out and sliced my surge brake lines. And I had to fix that line. I had to put this back up. I had this welded, and Diamond City Trailers did pay for the welding job of this. And they sent me the brake lines. So my surge brakes, they work now. They work really good now. And it's back together. And then those welds broke from the repair. So I went to my buddy who is a welder, and he didn't weld it. He put in bolts that have been holding up incredibly great, incredibly good. We put a bracket under there on the bracket to hold the bracket together, all with bolts, and everything is being held together pretty good. Other than this wood is wanting to come out again. In fact, it's actually come out again. I gotta fix it again. Yeah. So that's a problem with the trailer, and it's starting to happen on the other side now too. The bracket is cracked over there, and by now it's probably apart. But it's solid. It hasn't done worse. It hasn't gone as bad as this side. I did also replace or have this back axle replaced. So the Dexter axle originally on this boat, when I first got it, I saw that one of the tires was sideways, and I was wearing the tire weird from just, pulling it like 100 miles. So I got another axle. I didn't do a video or anything of it like I did with my previous boat, but I replaced this axle, and yeah, I will say I'm not happy with the Diamond City trailer on this. But it's an easy loading trailer at least. And all the other welds, I've been watching it like a hawk, are perfectly fine. It's just been this. And it could use, more work. It needs more work. I need to fix that. And I guess this is the biggest issue, is just these fenders have been the biggest issue of this entire thing. And like I said earlier, when those dealerships looked at this boat, I made sure they knew that this was a problem, and they gave me the $26,000 and the $27,000 trade-in quote. Maybe they have a better welder. I don't know. I hired a professional welder to fix it, and even those welds eventually broke. And now it's out of warranty, so I really can't do anything other than fix it myself. Outside of, like I said, my buddy put a bunch of screws in, we created that bracket, and it's loose like this. It's been loose like this the entire time, but it's holding it together. Like I said, I'm not a salesman. Now, if you've made it this far and are still interested in my boat, you can send me an email to billy@tnrvg.com. That's billy@tnrvg.com if you're interested at all in my boat. It's a good boat. I get about, 44 miles per hour out of it. I have hit 46 when I'm with the current and with the wind, and it cruises about 38. and it sips the gas. I don't think I've ever used more than half a tank of gas on this, and that was like 4 trips. I decided to push it as far as I could, and after like 4 trips, and some of them I probably drove as much as 12 miles on the river or the lake or whatever, and I only had to fill up half a tank. It's got like a 30-gallon gas tank in it. So it does sip the gas. It's very quiet. I get compliments all the time from clients that it's a very, very quiet outboard. And if there's a worry of me being a fishing guide and have taken this boat out way too much, you know, my guided trips have been like 1 a weekend. And during the winter time, it's like 1 a month, maybe. So I haven't taken this out as much as some other guides who are full-time, who've been full-time for years and years and years, where, you know, they're taking their boats out every single day. And I haven't hit that point yet. And as you guys seen, even on my channel, I've been doing a lot of, you know, bank fishing videos because it's cheaper to do a bank fishing video than it is to take the boat out. And that's just because I don't have my day job anymore. And that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking about selling it. I do owe money on the boat. And in Tennessee, there's no titles, but there is a lock on the boat. So the loan has to be paid off first, and then you can register the boat and use it. And from previous experience of selling boats in the past that had loans on them, it's relatively fast and easy. My bank does it, and they're fast at doing it. Also, this is another Dave Ramsey move. You know, I've already sold my truck just to get out of that debt, sell this to get out of this boat's debt. However, you know, if I get 30 to 33 out of it, I should be able to go out and just buy a used boat, which would mean like an 1860 or even a 2070. I saw a 2070 WeldBilt for sale that I would be able to buy and not have a loan on. And then, you know, that's kind of the future as well. So I want to downsize the boat because this is a heavy boat. We're talking, when it's full of gas, 3,800 pounds. I weighed it. It needs to be a little bit less for my smaller truck. So I want to get something that weighs less. And like a Grizzly Tracker 1860 center console has a ton of room for the size of boat. It's lightweight. And I think they're actually 19-foot boats, so it would be worthwhile to replace this with. So either that or get a 20-foot WeldBilt, get something that's a little bit lighter for my truck. And another thing that would happen, I'd be able to lower the prices on my guide service. I'd be able to match like Scenic City. So that is one of the considerations of just, you know, being one of the cheapest guides around. I am kind of right now, although I'm a little bit more expensive than them, but I'd like to lower the prices. And in order to do that, I need to, you know, get out of debt. And that's just what it is. So hopefully one of you will be interested in it. If not, you learned a lot about what's going on with my boat. Now, as always, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your day to actually watch my video. I really, really appreciate it. And now, I will be doing more bank fishing videos because I got to take the trolling motor to Swafford's to get it fixed because I don't want that belt to break while I'm out on the water. And I've got about a week and a half before my next guided trip. Of course, I might get someone wanting to, you know, book tomorrow, and I have that happen all the time. But I got to eat the bullet, or I might buy another trolling motor as a backup trolling motor if I can find a good cheap used one that will fit my bracket. But things I got to think about. And yeah, and one of the biggest things to think about, should I sell the boat? Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you next time.